So, from a retro player to vinyl? Hello and thank you for clicking on this video. I'll be sharing my thoughts on the Snowsky disc, which is another portable music player that's coming in at around $100 US. The burning question I have in my mind, and it may be something that's on your mind as well. We've already got the Snowsky Echo Mini and the Echo. Link in the description if you haven't checked them out. So would I choose the disc over those two? Before we dive deeper into this question, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Theo for sending this unit in exchange for my honest feedback. However, as always, all thoughts and opinions are my own and are not influenced by any parties. If you're interested in this or any other products that are featured on this channel, I'll leave some links in the description section of this video for you to check out.
And if you've been enjoying my content, I hope you'll hit that like and subscribe button as they'll help the channel a lot and I'd appreciate your support.
Going through the unboxing really quickly, you've got the manuals in the box, but they've also provided you with two sets of stickers that you can stick on the front and back of the disc to give it a bit of character if you don't like the all black look. Very retro design, and I really like that Snowsky provided these to make things a little bit more fun, but I still like the sleek look of the disc. So taking a closer look at the device itself, it's a square box with rounded edges, but it's really thin. It's lightweight, coming in at around 77 grams, heavier than the Echo Mini but a touch lighter than the Echo. It has a nice round 1.8-inch LCD screen at the front with Snowsky logo at the top left, some branding and wordings at the back, powder coated black metal body. You have the power button at the top, the pause play button and the volume button on the right, a 3.5mm and 4.4mm output at the bottom with the USB-C port and the SD card slot, and nothing on the left side. Simple, sleek, very nice looking device. However, if there is one nitpick, it'll be that I wish they placed the power button a little bit further away from the pause and play button, as I tend to mistake the pause and play or the power button at times. I wish the power button was a red color button or something just to make it pop, would still look really sleek altogether. Another thing to note that due to the round screen, I feel they have not properly optimized it, as you got some text at the top which are cropped from the sides. Even the volume button and the battery is right on the edge of that circle. I kinda wish they were all pulled down a little bit to be in the middle, but I guess it's a lot of work just to readjust everything to suit rather than throwing in a stock template. But with stock templates, it's typically for square-ish screens, and this just shows why round screens are less preferred, even though it looks cool. Also, another little gripe is that this device does not have a back button, so you'd have to swipe from the left to go back. This can be a double-edged sword, especially when you have sliders for adjustments like adjusting brightness, for example. Sometimes swiping from the left registers as me adjusting the brightness, so it's not as intuitive or smooth, but when it works just fine. So just running through some specs, it uses dual CS43131 DAC chips, which is similar to the Echo Mini, 280mW at 32 ohms on the 4.4mm ballast termination, which is 20mW more powerful than the Echo, so the disc has some juice. Supports Bluetooth 5.3, plenty of audio codec supports, and it has a battery life of up to 12 hours, which is 2 hours shorter than the Echo and 3 hours shorter than the Echo Mini, so that's something to note as well. So the button controls don't have any other functions to them since this is a touchscreen, so just going through some of the features. Browse files is pretty self-explanatory. You can browse within the device or the SD card itself. Now playing is pretty much the music player. When you are in this mode, you can swipe left and right for different settings. On this page, you can loop the song, favorite it, or select from the list of songs from this page. I wish they had a description because it kind of expects you to know or guess what the symbol represents, which is why it will be beneficial to read the manual and test it with the disc. On the next page, it has a slider where you can drag to a certain part of the song. As I already mentioned earlier, this is where things can get tricky, as swiping left and right may accidentally drag the slider as well, but on this page it has the song information. You have an option to add to your playlist, and you can toggle the EQ presets from here. Swiping to the next page will bring up the lyrics page if it's embedded with the file, and swiping once more pretty much gives you a clean interface with no settings or toggle, just an animation of the disc rotating as your music is playing for that vibe or atmosphere. If you don't want to slide left or right, tapping on the screen once also swipes the screen to the right, so if you're concerned about accidentally sliding your settings sliders, then this could be an option. Next up is the streaming app, which supports AirPlay, which I don't use unfortunately, so there's not much for me here. Category of songs is also pretty self-explanatory, and lastly, the settings function. Working mode gives you a few options. Pure tone mode is just using the device itself. Storage mode pretty much gives you the option to transfer files when you plug in the USB-C into your computer. USB DAC mode is what it is, pretty much turns your disc into like a mini DAC amp or dongle to be connected to your computer, just like what you can do with the Snowsky Echo Mini and Echo. There's a USB audio mode which apparently lets you connect this disc into another external DAC or amplifier, but then you're limited to the disc's output. Next up is the system settings where you can toggle the charging optimization, the screen brightness, again another slider, so that's fun. Screen timeout from 15 seconds to 30 minutes. You can also toggle screen rotation, but honestly, how it is now makes the most sense since it doesn't hinder anything that you plug in, but at least there are options for you to play with. You can toggle the sleep time from off to 120 minutes. You can toggle idle power off from off to 120 minutes. You can adjust the playback theme from front cover or vinyl, and the vinyl looks the best for me, of course. You can even adjust the lock screen theme, so the default is the clock, but you can choose between 5 different options, but I honestly like the clock the best, so I just stuck with that. You can even adjust the cover animation to either rotate or be still when you're playing your music. You can adjust the date and time, language, system updates, reset all, and find out more about this device. You've got your connectivity features such as Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, Wi-Fi for your AirPlay, and Bluetooth to connect the disc to your favorite Bluetooth headphones or earphones. You've got the playback settings where you can adjust the settings of the shuffle. You can toggle memory playback of your song from off to either where you stop from a certain position within the song or from the song itself. You can adjust the maximum volume settings. You've got the audio settings where you can toggle your gain from high to low. I think it's high on default. You can see which Bluetooth codecs this device supports, SPDIF. You've got the equalizer I've seen earlier in the music player. You've got filters you can choose from, adjust your channel balance, and unfortunately I'm not sure what DRE stands for. Comment down below if you know what this is. And lastly, in the settings you can update your library. You can actually swipe down from the top and there's a quick menu for you to adjust your brightness, turn on and off Wi-Fi, Bluetooth connection. There's also a home button so you can go straight to home screen instead of swiping back multiple times. And you have the music player where clicking on it goes straight to the app. Swiping down once more will give you a bit more options like gain, equalizer, screen rotation, update media library, and USB mode settings. So all in all, once again, plenty of features packed into this little device, but going through all those settings just makes me want that back button a whole lot more. The only other comparison that I could make with the disc would be against something like the Hebe R1. Both have touch controls, both support Wi-Fi, both support up to 2 TB of external storage. They both use the same DAC chip, but the disc uses 2 of them. One just looks a lot sleeker than the other. For me, it's the disc looking sleeker, of course, but you may like the R1 better. The touch controls are also a bit snappier on the disc compared to the R1. The major differences would be the fact that the disc has a 4.4 termination and it has a bit more power to push out, but the R1 supports Tidal, Qobuz, but the disc supports AirPlay. The R1 can be used as an ebook, so that's something. Despite having a smaller battery capacity, the R1 has a longer battery life, coming in at around 3 hours longer than the disc, but it's understandable as the Hebe R1 is not powering a higher definition screen like the one on the disc and is not outputting as much power as the disc. However, unless you really want to have a more powerful output and a clearer screen, the R1 presents a much better value compared to the Snowsky disc, since they both have very similar functions and features, but the R1 just brings a little bit more to the mix. So in summary, had the Snowsky disc come before the Snowsky Echo Mini, or had the Echo not come after it, the Snowsky disc would have been a really great option for anyone looking for a portable music player. But I feel with what Snowsky has in its lineup, I feel the Echo or the Echo Mini does overshadow the need to own a Snowsky disc unless you really want touchscreen controls and you want that vinyl disc look for your music player. But if you want those functions, I personally would have just save up and get Fio's own M21 player. The Snowsky disc shows a lot of potential, but just lacks that little bit of oomph to make it stand out from the crowd. So I hope the disc 2, if Snowsky decides to continue this line, would bring in a bigger battery and more features to really make the disc stand out. But that's just based on one man's experience, and I'm curious to know your thoughts. Would you be picking the Snowsky disc over something like the Snowsky Echo or Echo Mini? Let me know in the comment section down below, and once again, thank you to Fio for this opportunity and to all of you for watching. See you all in the next video.